So good morning, everybody. I am just waiting for a few more people to join us that have already messaged to say that they're actually going to be coming on. So very warm welcome to everybody. If you don't mind just bearing with us just for a few more moments while we just wait for a few more people to come on. And then what we'll do is we'll pass over to Antonio and to Melanie, as they are the experts on all about immigration, all about the golden visa, etc. So please do just bear with me and then I can do that for you. Hi, so good morning, everybody. I think we do still have a few more people to join us, but we'd like to go live over to Antonio Blázquez and to Melanie. Now, as I mentioned, they are the experts in the field. So these are the guys that are going to be able to explain a lot more about the impact of the golden visa to begin with, who they are, and why it is so important to have legal advice throughout the whole of the process when purchasing in Spain. So very warm welcome. Good morning, Antonio, Melanie. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. I think what's probably going to happen is more people will join us as we go along, but we are going to record the session so that we can add that then up to YouTube and also put that onto the website, etc. So I'm going to take myself off the camera. I'm going to leave you guys to it. So hopefully everybody can learn as much as possible for you. So thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Good morning. My name is Antonio Blázquez. I'm a lawyer and partner of CVC Law Firm. And this is my colleague Melanie, which is also a lawyer and an expert in immigration law and other fields. Thank you very much for the invitation. We would like to briefly present ourselves and our law firm, and then we can talk about the golden visa and other alternatives, possibilities for the resident permit. So our law firm, CVC Law Firm, it's a law firm that results from the merge from two law firms in Andalusia, in Marbella, for more than 40 years here working in Costa del Sol, advising hundreds of investors during the purchase process, but not only. We advise, we have in-house tax and accountancy department, and we advise also in family law, in corporate, urban legislation, litigation, and immigration law, of course. So now we are over 30 people working in the firm. So we can say that we have a multidisciplinary field that speaks many languages, apart from English, French, Italian, Danish, Russian. You are probably aware, in Marbella and Costa del Sol, it's a very international place. And, we demand and we to have international lawyers that speaks many languages and support during the whole process. So apart from that, I think we should mention that as a strength of our firm, it is that we feel like the client like a family, and we go from the very beginning with the client till the end, you know. So response immediately and to look after during their stay in Spain, if it's just a short investment. But many of our clients love Marbella, and they keep here, they move with the family, and we advise them in their daily legal matters, from setting up a company, purchasing a company, purchase a property, the legal things related to the residency permits, later Melanie will explain you, and many other aspects like the tax declarations, everything that you can imagine when you live in Spain. So probably some of you already have a property in Spain, but others are on this process to purchase a property or to move to Spain, and you are with many different questions. So I would recommend you always to use a lawyer in Spain because at the end it's very important to identify what you really need. I mean, for example, some of you probably would like to have a property in Spain as a second home. Others would like to move with your family. Others just an investment and to have like a to do short-term rentals or long-term rentals. So depending on the specific case, we can advise you in one way or in another one. For example, how to purchase as an individual, with your children, with your spouse, with a company. Depending on the specific situation, we can give you a different approach of how to do the investment. So apart from knowing exactly how to do the investment, I also recommend to use a lawyer in Spain to identify, for example, if you are buying a property, that the property that you are buying fulfilled several requirements. For example, we identify that the seller has the capacity to sell, that the licenses from the town hall are correct, that the building was built according to a building license, and, for example, that was granted with the first occupation license. Also, we verify if there is any debt in the property. Mind that there is a mortgage, so we need to identify the mortgage and later to cancel before you purchase the property and the delivery of the keys, or if there is any debt related to community fees or anything related with patronato de recaudación, which is like the council tax. So we proceed with the identification, the due diligence. We advise you also with the review and the drafting of the contracts, reservation, private purchase contract, and also during the process of the signing of the title deeds in front of the notary. So apart from the due diligence and the legal studies, we also go with you and advise you during the preparation of the power of attorney that we will need to sign, for example, to apply for your NIE number, which is a tax identification number for foreigners in Spain that will allow you to purchase a property in Spain, but also to buy a car. Most of the banks will request you to open an account. We also help you with it. Also, we advise with the changes of the contracts of the utilities during this process. No? So just to be brief and to move to the other topic that for you I think will have sense apart from the necessity of a lawyer and the recommendations that I personally think it is very convenient. I will use a lawyer if I buy some properties in UK, in Ireland, or in other countries, because I think that specialists are needed where you go. You need a doctor or an architect. You need a lawyer to avoid having headaches in the future and problems. So at least you know what you buy and you decide and have all the information to make the right decision. No? So from the golden visa perspective, I think it is very important to know also that there was an announcement from our Prime Minister 3 weeks ago, and there is no modification yet in our legislation. So this resulted that right now, I mean, during the last days after the announcement of the Prime Minister, we advised several clients. I mentioned there were like 4 different clients that we got the positive resolution of the golden visa for those who invested in real estate, in properties, as an individual, more than 500,000 euros. So I think it is important to mention that the program is still valid, and so apart from this program, there are other alternatives, but one of the golden visa related to real estate investment that seems that they want to stop in the following weeks, months. It is not precise when, but it's true that it was mentioned, still valid. Okay, so I think Melanie can explain you the golden visa right now, the requirements, how we should do the investment if it's in real estate, and other alternative that may be interesting for you if you're planning, depending if you're planning to move with your family to Spain, if you want to keep your residency for example, in UK or in Australia or in a non-EU country, and then to know exactly what can you do right now. I mean, because our legislation allows you to be as another to be here 90 days in 180 days and 180 days in 365, which means you can stay here 3 months in 6 months and 6 months in a year. Okay, this is something absolutely valid. Maybe for you it's more than enough. That's many clients from our firm think it is. So let me Melanie to explain you the.
Yes, as Antonio mentioned, the golden visa is still in force. We have submitted several applications with positive results recently. And this type of visa is very attractive for clients that want to stay in Spain more than the 90 days mentioned by Antonio, but also keeping their tax residence where they want. This type of golden visa requires a real estate investment in properties for more than 500,000 without any charges. Depending on how you purchase the property, imagine if you have bought it with your spouse, but both of you have invested more than the mentioned amount, you can request the golden visa individually, so there's no need to submit additional documents as the marriage certificate or anything. But the main requirements is the investment, along with proof that you have enough funds to stay in Spain during while the residency is in force, and also a health insurance. We can advise you on obtaining the health insurance. We will also advise you on obtaining all the documents from the land registry proving the investment that you had. That is why, as Antonio mentioned, it is very important to have legal advice while preparing the power of attorney, because we will include all the faculties, not only to purchase, but also to obtain all the necessary documents if your goal is to obtain the golden visa. And from now, that possibility is still in force, and until we do not have any news from the government, we are still advising clients to purchase, and we are assisting on that with the goal to submit the golden visa. The golden visa is also very attractive because you can request it from Spain, so you do not have to wait until they grant you a visa to travel to Spain, as long as you do not exceed the 90 days rule that Antonio mentioned. but it is also a very positive thing that you do not have to leave Spain once you enter here and we submit the application. However, in once the scenario that the government announced when the golden visa through a real estate investment is no longer in force, we have plenty of possibilities for people that would like to stay permanently in Spain and not only the 90 days that people can stay as a tourist. For example, we recently obtained a positive resolution for a client that invested in
financial product, like if you put there are like deposits, you have also like investment funds in bank, Spanish bank. So in that case, it's also a possibility that you put the €1 million in a Spanish bank account and then we obtain a certificate. So it is a possibility, and I mean, we already obtained it for family.
Yes, and this will also, this type of golden visa will also allow you to renew it in case you only visit Spain once or twice a year. There will be no limit. There will be no days required to stay in Spain in order to renew the golden visa. However, again, in the case that the government erased the golden visa through real estate, we also have the non-lucrative visa, which is also recommended for people that would like to Spain to be their main country residence and to stay permanently in here, which we have also advised from several parts of the world, from the UK, also Saudi Arabia, and many countries. We also, as Antonio said, if you have any link to any EU citizen, we can also obtain the residency through that link that you have to any EU citizen. No, it doesn't have to be a married couple or a registered couple, because if you can prove that you are a stable couple from the past years, or maybe have descendants in common, it will do. It doesn't have to be a married couple, so you can also obtain the residency through that, which is very attractive, because that type of residency, if you are linked to an European citizen, you get a 5-year residency permit. So apart from that, depending on the circumstances of each person and each family, we provide legal advice adjusting to the circumstances, and we will also try to give you a solution if your ultimate goal is to Spain to be your permanent residency.
For example, as Mary was saying, no? Imagine that you want to move to Spain and you want to set up a company, or in that case, we can analyze and see the entrepreneur possibility through the golden visa or other alternatives. And this is something that we also advise some clients that were granted with the positive resolution. No? So I think that at the end, depending on what you need and what you want to do in the next years, we can give you like a very tailored advice. It is not the same somebody that wants to have a second residency and buy a property in Spain, more than 500,000 euros, and just want to have the possibility to travel to Spain without any limitation, just to feel free. No? This is some of our clients, for example, it is quite common from the Middle East that they want to have the golden visa because they want to stay wherever they want. Even they stay probably 1 month or 2 months per year. But in their country, they request to go to the embassy and to put the stamp for the visa, no? If they are not granted with that golden visa. No? But in UK, I mean, it is quite easy. I mean, they will only stamp you there in the passport, and if you don't exceed these 90 days, you will not have any problem. But other cases, people that want to move to Spain like 4 months, 4 months and not 3 months. In that case, it's convenient, or it is, I mean, we would advise in that golden visa. Other clients that they want to move with their family to Spain, or so in that scenario, we will see the non-lucrative visa, for example, is attractive for those families, or to do it the golden visa with the investment, and how to do the investment. As you mentioned, Melanie was mentioning, if the rule is 500,000 euros, we need to see how are for example, the couple married, if they are married, and if it's separation of assets, if it's joint common assets, depending on how are they married, we will recommend to purchase in a way or in another way to avoid later that there is a problem with the application of the golden visa. So basically, I think this is the scenario that we can analyze and provide you updated information about the changes of the legislation. And when the government stops the golden visa related to real estate, we can inform. And also, we will need to know how are going to be the changes, because right now it is just an announcement. We don't know exactly if they are going to modify the amount of funds to be invested, when it's going to be applicable, and how it's going to affect, because the other programs related to the golden visa, they were not mentioned. I don't see it as an alarm. We have many people interested in coming to Spain. The tourism is rising, the investment also, and at the end you cannot stop that. It's the reality.
Yeah, we have plenty of possibilities, and more from the golden visa through real estate is just one option that, although it's very attractive, is not the only one. So if the goal is to move to Spain, we will find a solution according to your personal circumstances.
So if you want, you can ask questions you may have through the chat or in the question box, and we will answer you. We are going to put also our details, so you can.
Perfect. If anybody does have any questions, if you look at the top right, there is a little box with a question mark, and therefore Antonio and Melanie can answer any questions that you may have directly with regards to immigration, with the visa, the legal side of the purchasing, whatever it is that you need, they can answer those questions from there for you.
We are sending our contact details just in case you want to personally contact us.
Something personal or questions like.
No, esto está tuyo.
Ahora, no es. Tracy, do you have any question?
Hi, yes, Antonio, we've got a couple of questions. So we have one question. Does this visa allow me to work in the country, or is it for residential purposes?
The golden visa, for example?
Yeah, the golden visa for real estate allows you to work, yes, in Spain, not only to reside, but also to work if you want to.
Perfect. And how long will the visa application process normally take?
Since we submit the application, the administration has a maximum of 2 or 3 weeks to issue a resolution, but they usually come back to us earlier than that.
Okay, perfect.
It's quicker than other processes.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then there's another question. What documents would I need to submit with my visa application?
Apart from the land registry document that I mentioned proving the investment, you will need to prove that, as I mentioned before, that you have enough funds to stay in Spain. Also, full covered health insurance valid in Spain. We work with several health insurance companies which will provide you with very competitive quotations, so you can choose from the one that is best for you. And of course, we will check that the terms are correct with the golden visa application, and also a criminal record from the country you have been residing in the last 5 years. That criminal record must be apostilled or legalized in the country where it was issued. So, as Antonio very well said, it's better to work with legal advice to avoid headaches, because sometimes the legalizations or apostilles, even though we are very familiar with it, normal people who don't work on this are not familiarized, so it's better to always have a lawyer that checks that the documents that you provide are fulfill all the requirements, also that they do not expire, because criminal record, for example, expires in 3 months since it is issued. So even though from outside we will try to make the process very easy for the client and very smooth, that is because we will check every detail of every document that I mentioned, that it is correct and it fulfills the requirement that the administration requests for the golden visa.
Wonderful, thank you. Do you need to have the visa before purchasing?
No, there is no need to, and also you only have to have the NIE number that Antonio mentioned, but there is no need to obtain a visa for purchasing. You don't even have to visit Spain. Sometimes you can even grant a power of attorney from the country you are residing, and if you give us the faculty, we will advise you on the purchase while you are not in Spain.
I have to admit, for all of our clients that do deal with lawyers, it does make the process so much simpler, especially as we have so many international clients that sometimes they fly in, they find the property, and then they have to fly back out before they maybe get the opportunity to meet with the lawyer. So although it's ideal, it does work extremely well being able to assist with the power of attorney from a different country. I've seen that working in practice, and it does make a difference. Can the golden visa be renewed? Or, I mean, obviously I know it's a little bit up in the air at the moment because we're not sure exactly what's happening, but we do have a question. Can the visa be renewed? And if so, what would be the process?
We renewed this week. This week we renewed clients that obtain a golden visa through real estate investment, a family, and we got the positive resolution right now. So
they were granted with 5 years more of residency permit, so they already have residency until 2029. The process is basically very similar to the one that for the initial application. It's just to prove that you still maintain all the requirements that you declare at the beginning of the process when you submitted the application. And it's much it's easier than the initial application because it doesn't requires you to, for example, if this case that Antonio mentioned was a family, a married couple and a kid, And the invitation application, we have to submit the marriage certificate and the birth certificate. But in the renewal, there is no need to submit those documents again. Just a declaration that they still maintain the relationship, and we obtain the resolution in a very short period of time, the renewal resolution for 5 years more of residency and work permit.
Yeah, just to mention, Tracy, because for example, in some countries, it is quite easy or more easy to obtain some documents, some certificates. But in other countries, and I'm talking, for example, in the Middle East, in Iraq, in countries that are with some problems with their administration, it is difficult to obtain the documentation, to legalize it, and then to be valid. Okay, because as Melanie was mentioning, 3 months time, no? So we need to be very coordinated from the moment we request some documents from the national, the country of the resident and Spain, in order to avoid translations, extra cost, and that. So we need to collaborate, coordinate everything to make it happen, because otherwise there are problems.
Yeah, in order to achieve that and that cooperation, what we do is to maintain basically daily communication with the client while they are preparing all the documents to see how to, for example, as Antonio mentioned, some documents expire, so we advise them a precise moment to request that document. For example, once we have everything almost ready to be submitted, we tell the clients to request the documents that may take a little bit and they can expire. So we coordinate very well with the clients, so all the documentation is in force, correct, legalized, apostille, and translated, ready to be submitted to the administration. So there is no, we do not submit applications until all the documents are completely checked, completely translated, and everything from our point of view, from our legal advice, is correct. So we avoid requirements from the administration requesting some other documents or documents to be corrected, because that could delay the process, and we do not want that. We just want to submit the application with all the correct documents and obtain the positive resolution with no legal requirements from the administration that could delay the process more.
That kind of guidance and advice, and also being there every step of the way with the clients, is really invaluable. By you helping with timing, it stops a lot of frustration throughout the process as well, which I imagine then does lead on to sort of speeding the process up. If a client was planning to eventually obtain Spanish citizenship, would the visa, so the golden visa, does that help to pave the way? Is that beneficial?
Yes, because that depending on how you use the golden visa, because for obtaining the citizenship, you have to prove that you effectively live here. As I mentioned, Antonio, as well, the golden visa allows you to visit Spain with no limitations, but there is no minimum days that you have to stay in Spain. So, for example, if with the golden visa you stay permanently in Spain more than 6 months in a year, it will help for you to obtain the Spanish citizenship, along with fulfilling the other requirements that the citizenship requires.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, obviously the golden visa helps people to extend the period of time that they're able to stay, but it's not a permanent thing. And you've mentioned about the residency. So, for example, if somebody was to become a resident, does that mean that they then have to exchange their passport? Would they need to become a Spanish citizen or just a resident?
No, it is just a residency permit. You will keep your current citizenship, and as long as you don't apply for any other citizen, the golden visa residency permit that you will be given does not change your citizenship status.
Perfect. Okay. And what about if a client's purchased a property quite some time ago, but it was over the 500,000 threshold? Could they still apply for a golden visa if they were maybe advised not to at the time or chose not to at the time?
Well, I mean, the current law, it was approved in 2013, in September. So for those who invested in properties, in one or several properties, more than 500,000 euros, or those who invested, for example, 300,000 euros and now are planning to purchase another property, it will be possible that we count the one of 300,000 euros and then an investment of 200,000 euros and apply for the golden visa in real estate. It's a possibility.
That's actually a really good point, that it doesn't have to actually be totally in one property, that it could be in multiple properties as long as the total investment is over 500,000. So I think that's quite informative as well, because that actually helps that you could buy one and then shortly afterwards buy another one, which then takes your total over the required amount.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. And is there oh, this is a different one. Is there a minimum investment required to qualify for a business visa?
The business visa that Antonio mentioned, for example, for the entrepreneur, is not a minimum investment, but the attractive of the business you are planning to set up here in Spain. It has different criteria. For example, the economic interest that has for Spain, the economic impact, the jobs that business can create.
Yeah.
We basically study, we have a contract that does all the reports of the plan of the business that the client wants to implement here in Spain, and studies all that criteria that the administration wants to know about.
Yeah, for example, Tracy, we advised a client that was a cinema producer that something different. I mean, he was going to invest in Spain, but was not too clear for him. But he prefers first to rent. So his profession is cinema producer, and what we advised him was to coordinate with the company that prepares the business plan, specifically focused on the golden visa, and the rest of the documentation we help him with it, with the good conduct, with everything related like that, and he was granted with the positive resolution of the golden visa. No? So at the end, there are different programs, and depending on what you need, we find the way. That's also our
Because so I think for a lot of clients, it'd probably be just easier to have a direct chat, maybe with you, Melanie, because obviously we've got the non-lucrative visa, there's the Nomad visa, we've obviously got the golden visa. So different visas would maybe be more applicable to different clients. For example, I know with, if they have the non-lucrative visa, would somebody be able to volunteer, or can they freelance in Spain, or is it still quite restricted?
With the non-lucrative visa, the thing is that it does not allow you to work in Spain. However, as it is granted for 1 year, the initial one, once you have decided that term, we can exchange the type of visa. So if you are planning on implementing a business, you do not have to stay with the non-lucrative visa only because you obtained it. You can exchange the type of visa that you have in order to be able to implement the business that you have in mind.
Perfect. That's really helpful. I think today you've covered so much. It's been incredibly beneficial. So we're very, very grateful for your time and everything that you've said today. It's been really incredibly helpful. And obviously we've got your contact details, which you added earlier, so that people can actually contact you directly. And what we would like to do is obviously confirm that there is no sort of financial obligation between us. You act solely for the clients and on their behalf. Everything that you discuss with them is completely confidential. We sort of as agency, we know the basics, but it is always better to speak with a professional. So having your advice today has been really, really helpful. Thank you so very much for your time.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. A pleasure.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
You too. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
Bye. Bye bye.